we go. My name is Travis Neville. This is the Travis Neville Podcast. I wrote this book called The Jossman Method. You get it all kinds of different places. And I'm 15,000 words into the new book. All of last week I was up working, so I was not writing. But that should be the last work trip. I think I'm going to go up next week and just finish up a couple more small things, but really I'm going up to go to a Halloween party, and then my buddy's coming up, and he's, we're gonna hang out for the weekend. Should be pretty cool. So anyway, hoping that's gonna mean I get a lot more progress on the book. Certainly this week I'll get a lot done, and we'll keep moving, and I'll keep updating you guys on how that's going. Super pumped about it, actually. Every time I turn around, I'm having a conversation with somebody who has an opinion about it, and I think at this point, because because I do this show and lots of people have read the first book, people have opinions. I'll say, hey, listen, I'm working on the second one. Oh, what's it about? And I start to tell them, and then people have ideas. They're like, well, you should add this, or you should include that. And that's actually really fucking helpful. I'm like, hey, that's a pretty good idea. Now, there's lots of things that I hear where, I don't, nobody, the ideas that they have aren't good, essentially. At least that's what I think. But shit, why not? If you've been a fan and you're paying attention to what we're doing and you're, following along, well, shit, why would I not want to take your input? I mean, it's going to be for you guys anyway. That's the whole point of it, right? So, that's been cool. Actually, I was sitting at on Friday night, I stopped by my old hometown bar. It's called the Village Pub, and it's the middle of this little town that I grew up in. And I'm sitting there with my old buddy and another dude that I've known his dad for years and his older brother for years, came up and tapped me on the shoulder. He's like, hey, man, I just wanted to let you know, thanks for writing the book. He's like, I read it. My wife read it. My daughter read it. I guess she's a high school kid. And he's like, and she's got little lists going, like she's paying it, she's doing the stuff that you said. He's like, I gave it to my dad. And I'm like, wow, that's powerful. To me, that's a really big deal to hear somebody that I know come to me and say, hey, man, this has improved my life a little bit. Pretty cool. So it's neat to have that happen. Anyway, I want to talk about going all in today. Also, as a result of an input from a good friend, he's like, man, you should. Actually, he wanted me to tell this story that I'll tell later. But I'm like, well, if I'm going to do that, I should make the show about being all in. I think that's the move. So here's what we're doing. Going all in. I don't think this. I know it. I look across my circle of friends. I look across the guys that I used to coach with. I look at my family. I look at people that I see on the internet, the people that I used to work with. I mean, basically everybody in my circles. And I don't mean this as an insult, because this is pretty fucking normal. People kind of just maintain the status quo. People, are, I would say, playing not to lose rather than playing to win. I like to make football comparisons, but I see it as, everybody's heard of the prevent defense, right? You can do that in basketball too, I guess. But they say the only thing it prevents is winning. That's just kind of a cliche thing. Now, I'm not opposed to, hey, if they're at 4th and forever and, dropping your safeties back to the sticks just to make sure. I mean, that's sort of a prevent situation, but I'm not opposed to that. But the metaphor is what it is, right? There's playing to win, and there's playing not to lose. And I would say that the difference between those two things with football, it's risk. And that's exactly what the difference is in life as well. If playing to win means you're willing to go all in, like I'm talking about, taking, whatever risk you got to take, and you take it. Like I look at, just from my perspective, I had the best job I've ever had when I went off and started my own business. Best job I ever had. I was working for this commercial construction company, had my own office. I basically had no, I didn't have a supervisor. I mean, I did. I worked for the owners, but I had a lot of autonomy. that job allowed me to travel around a lot. I could kind of do it as I saw fit. They're like, hey, you just fucking handle this. I made good money. I had good health care. It was a short commute. I was working with a bunch of people that thought about the world the way I did, so I didn't have any like office drama. We were all on the same page for the most part there. It was a good-ass job. And I left that to go start my own business because I thought, this is even better than that. I was talking to a friend over the weekend about just that concept, that so many times people are like, well, I'm thinking about maybe making this move, and I'll kind of ask them, hey, are you running away or are you running to? Because if you're running away from a bad situation, well, then you're just kind of seeking safety. You're seeking, a place where you can not have to deal with the shit from your old thing. It's like, you don't like your relationship, so you just jump in the first situation, partner you can find, and we all know that's just a rebound. So it's not going to last. It's not good. Whereas the opposite's true. If you're in a good situation like my job was, man, that new situation must be a pretty good deal if it's worth risking all of this, worth risking this good job that I had. And it was, for the last 5 years, my business has provided a nice living for me. And I've enjoyed it. It's given me a ton of freedom. Now, don't think for a second that I wasn't afraid to do it. I was scared to death. I can remember that same buddy that I was sitting there having a beer with on Friday night at the Village Pub. I can remember going to lunch with him multiple times during that stretch of time, and being like, man, I don't know, I'm a little worried. This should be, I've got these customers already lined up. These clients, I don't know. Like, I remember being uncomfortable. I remember worrying about it, but I made the jump, man. And I started working hard, and I started building up money, and pretty soon it was taking care of itself. And yeah, of course it's scary. Fuck, of course it is. You think that's scary? Imagine doing what I do here. I mean, shit, I wrote a book and told all kinds of things about, like, embarrassing things that have happened in my life and mistakes that I've made. And shit, people could say this. I've had the audacity to tell other people how to live their lives. If you want to take it that way, that's fine. But I've heard it. I've heard that from people. There's no doubt about it. I've lost some friends. I've had some family members who I know they look at me differently because of this shit. So that was a big risk. It's a big risk, and I'm still risking that. You know what I mean? Like, I still, I don't know, that at this point in this venture, the book and the podcast and the second book, I've already kind of made all the waves I'm going to make, right? I mean, shit, I lost my football coaching job. Like I said, I've had some family go caca on me a little bit. But so then now, hey, well, all the bad shit already happened. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a job to lose now. The family members who are going to be upset I can't fix it. So I better succeed, because I've taken these shots, and they'll have been for nothing if I don't make it. So the point I'm trying to tell you is, of course you're going to have some times that are tough. If you're worried about making some big decision, you don't want to go all in. Well, I guarantee you're going to fail. If you don't take the big risks, you don't get the big rewards. That's just what it is. It's, I'm getting into a little bit of sports betting, and I'm betting $10 here. I actually made two $25 bets this weekend. It's the most I've ever bet. So it's really small, but I'm realizing that if you want to make the big money, you got to risk the big money. That's what it is. And the failures that you're going to have along the way, it's part of the game. You need to accept that when you walk into it. And, it goes into the whole thing, like the Jordan Peterson thing. I love to talk about him, but he talks about I can't remember what he says, but don't mess with skateboarders when you see them skateboarding. Let them fall down, because they're going to learn that, failure ain't so bad. I skinned up my knee, it healed. I'm okay. I broke my leg. It wasn't so bad. I'm skating again, and I don't worry about that. The fear goes away, and then you can really take chances and jump out there and put yourself out there and be successful. Go all in. Try the big trick. If you remember a bicycle movie from the 80s called Rad. You guys remember that? Well, he's trying to do this backflip. He tries over and over again, and he's realizing that he's got all these mattresses on the landing ramp, and even if he lands it, he's going to eat shit, because you can't ride your bike on a mattress. So he's like, take the fucking mattresses off. bitch, I'm going all in. And of course, at first he failed. But he was like, well, fuck, that wasn't so bad. I don't need to worry about these mattresses. I got back up, and eventually he nails it. Sorry about the spoiler alert, but you see what I'm saying? If you are putting those mattresses out there for yourself, you're not really risking anything, which means that you're probably not going to get the big wins. You're just not going to. It's not coming. You can't, be calculated about it. This guy isn't trying to do this backflip on these ramps with a ramp that he's landing on covered with spikes. That's just stupid. Don't do shit that's dumb, but be willing to take some shots. I knew going into this that was going to happen. I knew that some people were going to be upset. It's okay. I figured something would happen with football. I didn't think it would happen that quickly, but it happened. So now I've got nothing holding me back. And you have to learn how to look at the world that way, that, if you do fail in this way, well then shit, I don't have to worry about failing anymore. Reading this book right now, actually I've been reading it in pieces because it's pretty long over the last couple of months. It's called The War Against Boys. Pretty good shit. And this lady talks about all kinds of stuff in here. Really digs in, she does, on the feminist movement of the 60s and 70s, right up till modern day, and how boys in school have just kind of fallen by the wayside because everyone's focusing so hard on girls. Really good information. One of the things that she told me, or it always seems like you have a relationship with the author, right? I haven't talked to her, but one of the things that she says is that men are far more likely to take risks than women. Much higher appetite for risk. And man, if you just look around anecdotally, look around your life, that's what guys do. You know what I mean? We take risks in all kinds of areas. Questionable when you're young, drinking too much, whatever. When you're older, oh man, I bought a Ferrari or whatever the fuck you did. Like the different risks that you take, they are there. You know what I mean? It's always on dudes to go up and approach a woman, for example. That's a risk. I suppose you're risking your little bit of self-esteem. You're risking getting shot down. You're risking, getting rejected. But guys do it. Guys routinely do it, in fact. And that's a part of your DNA, bro. You should be taking risks. I always looked at that when I was coaching football. I'm like, fuck it, man. I'm running a blitz at this dude. I don't think this quarterback can hang on to the football. If I put enough pressure on him, he's going to crumble. Like, I liked taking those risks. And every once in a while, it didn't work. And they'd fucking break a long one on me or something. And I'm like, well, hey, we knew that going in. We knew that could happen. We knew that could happen. And you got to be prepared for that. I might, like when I walk up to, I'm still single. If I walk up to a woman and I want to just, hey, how are you? I realize I could get the fucking cold shoulder. I know I could get that. And I'm prepared for that. I know what to do. I'll be like, all right, have a good day. It's not going to crack me. That's for sure. I don't even know you, and you certainly don't know me. So you not wanting to talk to me is not at all a rejection of me. You don't know me. You don't know anything about. You just know that I walked up to you at this place, and that's it. That's all you know. You know what I mean? So whatever. Fucking take the fucking risk. Really, the risk that you're really taking when you don't take risks, and it goes back to I say this all the time. There's two ways a thing can come out. You can be, like, I think about when I was married. I stayed in that far too long, but I never have to wonder if it was going to work. Like, I left there and I was not in good shape, and I fixed myself up and it was fine. In the end, I was way better. In fact, that's what happens when you wound yourself. You build a scar there, and now you're stronger. Same thing. That's how the gym works. That's how your body works. How your mind works. I don't have to wonder if it might have worked out, because I did everything I could do, and a bunch of shit I shouldn't have had to even try. Cool. The opposite of that is you left as soon as there was a problem, and now you got to wonder if you left too early. Like I told you, there was a girl I dated a few months ago, and she just wasn't fucking texting me back. And so I was like, you know what? I need more contact in this from you. And I'd love to tell you I just walked away confidently whistling a tune, but I still, every once in a while, it pops in my head like, did I pull the trigger too soon there? You know what I mean? So that's what happens when you make a strong move. You might wonder what might have happened. And that, okay, is what you don't want to have laying on your deathbed, or just at the fucking end of the day on your Wednesday night bed. Hey, you know what? I wonder what would have happened if I'd have tried this, or if I'd have gone up to this girl, or if I'd have, put my money in this stock. I wonder what might have happened. I don't like that. I don't like that shit going through my head. Matter of fact, I'll do lots of shit in my life just to make sure that it won't. You know what I mean? Like, well, I don't want to wonder about it, so I'm going to do it. Like the last time I was up north, there was this guy who's been on me, not on me, but every once in a while he'd send out a little tickle text being like, hey man, I need you to paint this little peak on my barn. And I remember looking at the picture going, that thing's fucking tiny. It's so not worth my time. But I was like, you know what? I'll commit to getting it done before the year's over. Because I sure as hell didn't want to worry about it all winter. Like, man, I should have helped that guy out. And now I can't because it's snowing. And so the last time I went up, before I went up, I called him. I'm like, listen, man, I'm Travis. I'm the painter that you've been talking to. Buddy, I'm gonna be there and do that before I do anything else on this trip because I want to get it done. And I went over there and I charged him next to nothing. He's like, well, how much do you think to do it? Because he had the paint and everything. Like, everything was there. I just had to show up, do the work. It took me a couple hours. So I gave him a number. He, writes a check, folds it in half, and he's like, hey, I'll put this in your truck. So I'm like, all right, cool. And I didn't even look at it till I got home, and he paid me double what I asked him for. Double. Which was really cool. But that's not the point of it. See, there's a good thing that can happen when you go ahead and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna knock this out so I don't have to worry about it. Ended up getting more than I needed. But talking about going all in, like I said, you can take the risk and wonder, or you can take the risk and maybe you'll have some bumps in the road. But there's no ceiling on that when you take the risks. You know what I mean? The upside can be immeasurable. Whereas if you put the mattresses on the ramp, you know what I mean? You're guaranteed to not get hurt, but you're also guaranteed not to succeed. You see what I'm saying? So being risk averse, it's just I don't like it. I don't like it. I want to take some risks. I want to get out there. I want to do that kind of stuff. Do you want to, like I said, end of the day, laying in your bed, be wondering about how your life is, kind of mediocre. Each of you has, a Jordan Peterson in them. Each of you has a Michael Jordan in you. Each of you has a thing that can be the very top. You're going to have to take some risks to get there, though. You're going to have to take some bumps. You're going to have to take some bruises. You have to. I mean, it's just part of the game. No one got to the top and never failed. No one, okay? It doesn't work that way. If you're worried about risks, holy shit, you drive your car to work every day. That's one of the most dangerous things you can do. It's true. I'm just quoting the numbers. You know what I mean? It's one of the most dangerous things you can do. So there's a risk. Shit. I mean, how many of you guys drink a little too much sometimes? I hope none of you smoke, but there's lots of other risks you take that you're somehow comfortable with them because you've been doing them for so long. You know what I mean? Take some risks that actually have a payout at the end of it. I'm thinking about, so the story that this buddy of mine wanted me to tell is the story of my cat. You guys saw him last week. He showed up here, and he's outside right now, whacking and stacking, killing shit, and taking names. And but that cat's been with me for a long time. His name is Hank, like I told you. He kind of adopted me back when I lived in Indiana. Just showed up one day, and I fed him, and then he was mine. Like, he was an outside cat for a while. I built this heated house for him in the garage that I had built there, so he could get in there and be warm at night in the winter. And I just took care of him. He kept the critters away. He was a great outside cat. And then eventually he became an inside cat, and I've moved a bunch of times since then, and he's been with me the whole time. Like I said, he's 13. I think he was maybe about a year old when I got him. So yeah, I've had him for 12 years, and he's always been around. He's my buddy. And last Memorial Day, so not the one that just passed here, so it would have been Memorial Day 2020. I'd been up north, and I came home on Memorial Day on Monday, and Hank had been inside for that whole time I was gone, and so I let him out, and in the morning, and he didn't come back for lunch, and then he wasn't there for dinner, and then that night he wasn't there, and the next morning he wasn't there. Now, that's not like him. Like, normally I can go outside and say his name a couple times and he'll show up, he'll appear. He doesn't go far from the house. And so I knew something was up. So the next day I flyered the neighborhood, So first he disappears Monday. Tuesday I flyer the neighborhood. Wednesday I get a call from a guy. This old guy's like, well, I know where your cat is. And he's just kind of rambling old dude, and he's like, he's at the park. I'm like, fuck, that's like 12 miles away. There's no way he would be there on his own. So I'm like, this guy's full of shit. You probably saw a fucking raccoon from 50 yards with your old ass and thought it was the cat you saw in the picture in your mailbox from the flyer I gave you. Yeah, he got a flyer because he lives 3 houses down from me. And that's when the story starts to kind of have a little bit more, I don't know, authenticity. And I start believing him. He says, yeah, I live 3 houses down from you. And here's what happened. I had my vehicle in the driveway with the hatch up on it. And I just had it up for most of the day. I was loading things in there because I was going to go, my girlfriend and I were going to go on a picnic. And I'm like, all right, sounds reasonable. And he must have jumped in there because, you know, when I got to the park to have the picnic, he jumped out. And it was definitely the cat from that flyer. And he's like, I can tell you right where it was, right where he jumped out. So he tells me, and I know the park really well. I'm there all the time. It's right next to the park where I go running on the mountain bike trails. It's like right across the road from there. It's got this lake loop that I run all the time. I know the park. Like I used to go there when I was a kid. I know it inside and out. So the place where he says where Hank jumped out of his car, I knew right where it was. So I went right there, you know, as soon as I don't remember what I was doing, but I dropped what I was doing and I went immediately to the park to start looking for Hank. So I bring treats and I'm saying his name, and I called one of my friends and she was helping me. You know, she had treats too and she's looking around, and then the guy who called and said the guy who called me, he showed up too, and he's like, yeah, it was right here, and you know, all this stuff. So we look and look and look, and actually I come across a vet tech. You know, I'm talking to every person I see, and she says, you know, cats can smell their litter box for like a mile away. And I'm like, that seems credible. Why not? You work in a veterinarian's office. So I thought the park was getting dark. The park was going to close. I thought, you know, if I can't find Hank, he's going to have to find me. So I went home. I got all my camping gear and you know, a bunch of treats and food, and I got the litter box, and I went and I pitched the tent basically right next to where this guy says that, you know, Hank jumped out of his car. You know, I talked on the phone real loud to my buddy until I could barely keep my eyes open, thinking he might hear my voice. You know, and I just kind of fell asleep, you know, and then I kind of rustled awake by this crackling sound, and I take my flashlight and I shine it out the tent, and there's Hank sitting there eating the treats. I'm like, hey buddy, and he's like, meow, and he jumps right in the tent, and you know, I got him home immediately, and I'll show you some pictures of him here in the tent, and you know, and then once he got home, and as soon as he got home, he just was like exhausted, like fuck. I mean, it'd be, let's see, all day Monday, all day Tuesday, and all day Wednesday. Yeah, he's 3 days out in the wilderness. You know, probably. I wonder where he slept. I wonder what he did. I wonder if he came across any people. I don't worry about him with other animals because he's a badass. He came from the mean streets of Kendallville, Indiana. Like he can handle animals. You know, I worried about people. What were people gonna do if they saw a stray cat? And you know what I mean? Like, people are mean to cats. That's just what it is. But I got him home, and what that story illustrates is my willingness to go all in. You know, I mean, I could have stayed home that night and wondered if I might have got him back if I'd have gone there and done that. But in that situation, I mean, shit, I don't have kids, and I'm not going to tell you he's like my kid, but he's my buddy, you know, and if there's a way I can help him, I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? So I didn't give a shit about sleeping on, you know, hard-ass ground on concrete. Actually, it was, I'll show you a picture of the tent too. Set it up underneath like a picnic shelter. You know, there's a big storm rolling in and everything. I'm like, man, this is going to take away all the scent. He's not going to be able to hear me. He's not going to smell anything. Anyway, found his way back. So, again, that illustrates how much are you willing to do so that you don't have to lay there at night going, man, what if I'd have tried whatever? What if I'd have gone and talked to that girl? You know what I mean? What if I'd have taken that job? What if I'd have, whatever the risk is, you got to do it. You have to. You know, it's built into your DNA to take risks. Fucking take a risk. Think about the kinds of risks that your fucking ancestors took. I mean, they traveled all the way across the country basically walking the whole way. You know what I mean? With no hospitals, no McDonald's along the way, no stop for snacks. That's a big fucking risk. And then they cleared land and built a fucking farm, and they survived, and they made your great-great-grandfather who made your great-grandfather. You know what I mean? Like, they did it. They made it. They took the fucking risks. And now now you get to live here in the United States. I mean, all of us came from that spirit of, you know what? There's a bigger, better life out there, and it's in the new world. And so we're going. Like, all of you came from that. That's, if you're kind of an original American, so to speak. Yeah, so back to the fucking cat story. I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but I remember calling my sister, like, as I was on my way to the park. Okay, I was going over there to look for him, and I told her the story, and she just stops right in the middle and goes, "That dude just didn't like something your cat was doing." And let's look at the fucking evidence here. The guy lives 3 houses down from me. He's probably seen my cat. I mean, at that point, I'd lived here for 2 years. He's probably seen my cat hundreds of times. Okay, so he knows he's a local cat. He's obviously healthy and well fed and groomed and taken care of. It's not a stray. Second, have you ever driven anywhere with a cat in your car? Did you ever not know that cat was it? They go fucking crazy. They climb all over the place. They howl. They're not like dogs. Where even dogs. You ever have a dog in your car and not know? Of course you knew. You knew he was there. And I saw the guy's car. There was no like sound barrier in the back hatch. There was none of that shit. Like, that cat would have been in his lap, like climbing on the dashboard. Hank would have been all over the place because I've driven Hank around before. It's what he does. So that's fucking fishy. Third, the place where he dropped the cat off is the most isolated place in a very isolated park. Like, there's no parking spot there. There's no turnout. There's no campsites. It's just a curve with woods all around it. No one would see what you were doing there. And then fourth, I think we're on 4. It was Memorial Day of 2020. That park was fucking closed. I mean, as far as you could go to the beach and you could do some stuff, but they weren't cutting the grass. The picnic tables weren't even set out. Like, the place where he said he was going to have a picnic was not picnicable. Okay, like I said, no picnic tables. Grass was knee high. Dude, you weren't having a picnic. So, long story short, it comes down to, that dude thought that, actually a neighbor of mine said that, he thought that your cat and all these other cats were, getting in his garbage when it's fucking raccoons. How about don't put fucking garbage out, jackass, or get cans that are raccoon proof, or maybe mow your lawn. Like, you should see this guy's house. I call it the fucking Radley house because it looks like the Boo Radley house where nothing's taken care of. He literally doesn't mow his lawn, doesn't trim trees. He's got these branches that hang down over his driveway that they're so low you can't drive past them. So he takes like lumber and props them up so he can drive underneath the branches rather than trim any of the fucking trees or shrubs. It's really disgusting looking. It's embarrassing, And that's the downside of not having a homeowners association. I'm glad we don't have one. I don't want that shit. But that's what happens when you don't have one, is you could have a neighbor like that, which I do. But yeah, I went all in. I was willing to do whatever it took. And now I don't have to wonder what might have happened. I don't have Hank, and I wonder what might have happened if I'd have really tried to get him back. I don't have to worry about that. And to me, it's worth any amount of effort to not wonder what if. You know what I mean? And rather than that, there's one good motivator to go all in. I don't want to wonder what if. There's a great motivator. But an even better one is, well, fuck, I'll probably succeed as long as I keep going. You know what I mean? Like, when this fucking, when the football shit happened, I'm still really new at this podcast stuff. But man, I was really new then. I think it was only like episode 17 or 18 or something. I think it was 18. I remember getting advice from good people telling me, well, you should just ball that up. You should put that away and just go back to living your life. It obviously didn't work. It's a problem. And that wasn't even a consideration. I didn't consider that for a second. My first thought was, well, I failed these people, so now I have to make it. Or then it was just, now it's a double failure. If I failed these people, the coaches that I worked with, and I fail with the podcast, double fucking failure. So I better win somewhere. In a way, it's honoring the people that I hurt. You know what I mean? By trying to make this work. That's, I don't know, that's how I look at it. But Like I said, I don't mind taking the risks. I get to say things that other people can't say. I know that. I'm in a little different situation, but I would like to see you take those same risks. Say the things that you know to be true. Say them. There might be some fallout, but you can respect yourself after that. And I bet you'll probably get respect from people around you because you told the fucking truth and you weren't fucking scared. You're a man. Fucking do manly shit. Being afraid isn't fucking manly. Well, I'll take that back. Everybody's afraid. But letting it control you, that's not okay. Making decisions like that, it's not okay. I've got a buddy who, his family, super, super liberal. And they're all fucking still paranoid about the fucking COVID, corona balls. And, he doesn't want to get vaccinated. He's like, man, Trav, I take really good care of my body, dude. I'm really cautious what I put in it. And I'm not comfortable putting that shit in me. I'm not. And I think he already had it. I think he was already sick, so he's got natural antibodies. And he's going to be on his own this Thanksgiving because his family won't have him around without a fucking vaccine. Look at that. That's fear and paranoia wrecking lives, coming between love and family and friendship. It's unfortunate. It's super sad. But that's just fear. It's fucking fear. When you're afraid, you will do unreasonable shit. You are very easily controlled. You're very easily manipulated. And you live a very mediocre life. And you don't take any risks. When you let your fear win instead of your excitement for what might happen has to be stronger than your fear of what might happen that's bad. You have to always keep your focus there. You got to look at what, I'm afraid of this Rona, so it's worth not having my family around it for the holidays. Like, what the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And you as men should see through that shit. And that's the advice I gave him. I'm like, number one, stay strong. Don't fucking back down. But number two, just know that they are living with fear every day. And they're being manipulated by the media and the shit that they're hearing that may or may not be true. And they're willing to, sacrifice family for that. And I'm sorry, bro, that sucks. But doesn't mean you have to. You know what I mean? That's just... Fear is the cause of it. I talk about, like I told you, chapter 1 is beat fear in here. And you can't do anything else until you learn how to do that. None of the other shit matters. You've got to be able to get past that. You've got to get past your fears and move forward. So that's what it is. Fucking go all in. Start taking some risks. You're built to do it. You're going to take some bumps. Know it going in. You're going to fuck some shit up. You're going to fail some. But you cannot succeed if you don't take the big risks. You can't do it. I don't want to hear about, I got responsibilities. We all have fucking responsibilities, bro. Saddle the fuck up. Practice taking risks. Practice taking failure. Okay? Because like I've said 100 times, failure is one of the most liberating things there is in the world. You know what I mean? As much as I don't like that I don't coach football anymore, I don't have anything holding me back now. I could fucking say whatever I want to. I can do whatever I want to. I can move away. I've got this opportunity with a guy that I've just recently built a relationship with up north by my cabin who's got a lot of very high dollar clients. And he can get me work doing paint work, like big time paint work, like commercial, doing condos, really big money. And it's going to require me to basically move up north, at least for the season, for the summer. So I'm going to fucking jump on it. I'm stupid not to. That's opportunity knocking. I'm fucking going to open the door and make sure the floor's nice and clean. Come on in, opportunity. Enjoy my home. You know what I mean? That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, it's weird. It's uncomfortable shit. I got to get to live at my cabin for, 5-6 months straight probably. I'll bring my cats up there so I don't have to come home as often. I'll bring my office up there so I can do this stuff there. That's all it's going to really involve. A couple of those things. I got to figure out how to do laundry while I'm there. Like, whatever. These are surmountable tasks. You know what I mean? But of course, initially I was a little afraid of it. But once I started thinking about it, I'm like, what the fuck would you can't even consider not doing this, Travis. You have to. Like, this is so good. I'll build a team of fucking kids that come out there and paint for me, and I'll teach them how to be really good. And they'll make money, and I'll go find opportunities to make more. And I'll be up north the whole time. It'll be fucking awesome, How do I say no to that? Fuck yeah, I'm jumping in. I'm going all in on that. I'm fucking going all in. And you should too. Find some opportunities. Quit beating around the bush. Take the fucking mattresses off the landing ramp. And go get them. And know that you'll fail. And it's okay. And get the fuck back up. You know? That's what you got to do. I'm Travis Neville. This is the Travis Neville Podcast. I wrote this book called The Jossman Method, Conquering Life's Transitions. You can get it anywhere you want to. I hope that this fucking podcast fired you up and in some way helped you to get your shit together. Have a great week.